What's going on, producers and songwriters? In this video, I am going to show you the smoothest minor chord that you can ever play so that you can use it not only for your playing, but for your production as well. This is going to be the silkiest, the smoothest, the sexiest, the soulfulest, the sultriest, all the S vibes that you could ever think of. We're gonna break that down right here in this video. If you don't know me, my name is BruceBeats. I've worked with industry artists such as Rapsody, Nicole Bus, Major 7, RUSS. I have placements on Netflix, ESPN, Fox Sports, HULU, all of that good stuff. And my goal with this channel is to show you not only how to be a baller producer, but a baller musician as well. This chord is going to increase the quality of your productions like no other. This is one of my favorite chords, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. We're gonna break this video down into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be the chord itself, which as you can see is a minor 11 chord. If you're already familiar with that chord, we're gonna use it maybe in a different way than you have and probably give you some new thought processes that you can start chewing on so you can get some new sounds. If you're not familiar with that chord, that's what we're gonna go over in part 1. Part 2, we're gonna talk about the specific voicing and how we actually wanna lay these notes out so we can get the most sultry vibe that we can. And then part 3, we're gonna hear it in context so you can see how we can actually use this chord so that you can use it in your playing, in your production. So part 1, the chord itself. Again, we're gonna play a minor 11 chord. And the way that we make this is super simple. So let's say we wanna play an A minor 11 chord, okay? Basically, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take an A, and then going up the A minor scale, we're gonna play one, skip one, 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 play one, until we have 6 notes. And notice by just doing that, it says A minor 11. So the specific notes we're playing are A, C, E, G, B, D. But the way I highly encourage you to think about this is in numbers. And the reason I encourage you to think about it in this way, 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11, is because now we can take these numbers and we can play any other chord we want just thinking about the same numbers. Now, if you've never thought about music and numbers before, that might be a little bit confusing to you, and that's a little bit beyond the scope of this video. If you would like me to make a video on that, go ahead and drop that in the comments below. But just to give you an example, if instead of saying A minor 11, what if it said F minor 11? We would follow the same exact process that we did. So we have F, and using that F minor scale, we're gonna play one, skip one, play one, skip one, until we have 6 notes. So our F minor scale is as follows. That's the F minor scale, okay? So following that sequence of notes, we will play one, skip one. So play one, skip one, 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 play one. Boom! F minor 11. And those specific notes are F, A flat, C, E flat, G, B flat. But when we're looking at the scale, it's literally the same numbers. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11. Which is the same as 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11. If you don't see that parallel right now, don't worry about it. Just follow along, play along with me. It's totally cool. But the more we can see that parallel, the easier it's going to be for us to bring this through different keys, playing the same exact voicing. So notice 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes. I know I'm going quick, but I'm just illustrating to you that it's the same voicing I'm bringing through the keys. So let's go back to this A minor example for simplicity's sake. This is a perfectly viable minor 11 chord. I mean, I just brought it through a couple different keys, and we see it sounds actually wonderful, but we don't always want to play it like this, right? There's sometimes where we're going to want to play it a little bit differently. That's what I'm going to talk about in part 2. Now, before I go to part 2, I want to explain one thing for those who are a little bit more advanced and who are a little bit more ready for this. If, as I'm explaining this, you start to get a headache, don't worry about it. Put it on the side. We'll deal with that later. But for those who are a little bit more advanced, one of the ways that I like to think about this is actually 2 chords in one. So if you notice, these top 3 notes, the flat 7, the 9, and the 11, give us a G major chord. So if we think G major over A minor, that's going to allow us to do some really cool stuff, melodically speaking, voicing wise, once we start using this in context. So if you've never seen that before, see if you can wrap your brain around that, because even when we do it in F minor, right? If we take away the bottom 3 notes, we're left with an E flat major. So we have an E flat major triad over F minor. And this will allow us to do some fun stuff, which I can talk about in part 2. Again, if that went over your brain, totally cool. Don't even worry about it. You're not even really gonna need it to be able to capitalize on what I'm gonna show you right here in part 2. Here is how the voicing sounds. Doesn't that sound so smooth and wonderful? Here's specifically what I'm playing. A, B, C, D, G. Or probably an easier way to think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Watch how easy this is. If it said A minor 11, I would play A, and I would play 1, 2, 3, 4 of that scale, and then 7. And then I'll take this A and I'll bring it down an octave. Isn't that wonderful? So we can do this from anywhere. If it was F sharp minor, my F sharp minor scale is this. Okay, these are my notes for F sharp minor. So then I would just play 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I'll bring this root down. Right, that's all I'm doing. Root, down an octave. Get this nice spread. If I wanted to do it in E minor, I would play E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll bring the E down an octave. Wonderful. And all I'm doing is taking the same shape up. So it sounds fancy and difficult, but it's actually like the simplest thing you could ever do on the piano. Now, I want to give you some options that you can play with in the left hand. So what we can do here is if we take what's written here, with the left hand, you have the option of adding the 5th in the middle. That'll give it a nice strong bass at the bottom, really, really nice. You can also add the 7th on the bottom, which will give you 2 Gs. So, and notice both of those, all 3 of these have distinct characteristics, right? This one sounds a little more solid. This one sounds nice and dense. This one sounds nice and open. So it really just depends on the context, the vibe, the emotion, what chord comes before it, what comes after it. That's gonna, be your determining factor on which of these voicings you're gonna use. But you see, it's a very easy switch. Like we could just leave the notes out, just add it in, or just put this one there. And it's really your choice. But the shell voicing and the root of it is what's written right here. So you may be asking yourself, dude, I thought this was a minor 11 chord. I don't see 11 written there. Haha. Check this out. As we were doing this, notice that our 11th note is D. When we count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we get to D. We can also bring this D down here. And it's just easier to think about it if we say 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 11 is also the 4th, which is why, hello, we have the D right there, but we're thinking about it as a 4 because it's just easier to get to. 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, bring the 11 down, it's just too much. We'll just think about 11 as 4, same exact note. So what I highly recommend that you do is you start taking this through a couple keys so that you can get it under your fingers, because the worst thing that you can do for yourself is say, okay, I conceptually understand this, and then when you go to make music and you want to use it, but you haven't gotten it under your fingers yet, and you try to start thinking about, okay, what was the formula again? The numbers here, oh, what was that scale? You start getting lost in what it is and the math of it and all these things, and that just gets in the way of your creativity, and it kills the entire music making vibe. So what I would highly recommend you do is just have a couple sessions where you take this through a couple keys. So we can just start with C, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, flat 7. And just start seeing this and just start getting it in your brain and under your fingers. Do it in D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. Okay, cool. We can do it in E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bring this down. Boom. We could do it in F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're gonna notice some are gonna fall really, really nicely into the fingers. Some will be a little bit more strange, and that's totally cool. The more that you get used to it, and the more you see this shape, when we actually go to use it, it's gonna be so much easier for you to use. So let's talk about how to use it. I'm gonna use a song that we all know and love to demonstrate the feeling that this minor 11 chord and this minor 11 voicing gives your productions versus when it's not present. The song that we're gonna use is If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys, and this is the chord progression. Notice that we have 3 minor 7 chords. We all know how this song sounds, so I'm just gonna play through the first line real quick so we can hear those minor 7 chords. And I really want you to focus on those minor 7 chords specifically, the way they sound, the way they feel, everything like that. Sounds really cool. Nothing wrong with that. Actually, it sounds beautiful. But what if we simply played a minor 11 instead of minor 7? How would that change how it feels? Like, it just changed it just a little bit. So let's isolate this so we can really see the vibe. We'll just talk about the first 2 chords, the G major 7 to the E minor 11. We're gonna play first E minor 7, and then we'll do it with the E minor 11. And we'll throw a passing chord in between just so we can have some more context there, so we can see this vibe. Ready? You see how when we land on that minor 11 chord, it's almost like we landed on a cloud. So same thing when we talk about the second line going to that A minor 7. That voicing just has something a little bit extra to it. And you notice I'm playing the same exact thing that I was teaching you. I am not embellishing at all. So notice that just by changing these minor 7s to minor 11s, I get more of a cloud-like, more of a cushioned, my entire soul feeling than when I just played the minor 7s. So let's hear If I Ain't Got You with these minor 11s and with a few passing chords that I like to use that give it a little bit of extra flavor. You see how whenever we land on those minor 11s, it just sounds absolutely wonderful. So, quick recap. Part 1, we just talked about the minor chord itself, how we can take any minor scale, play one, skip one, until we have 6 notes, and this is going to give us our basic minor 11 sound. Then we talked about the specific voicing for the minor 11, which is simply 1, 2, 3, 4, flat 7, and then we bring the root down. Boom, we have this nice open shape. And for those who are a little bit more advanced, if you want to add the left hand, you can add the 5th to it, or the 7th to it. And I guess you can add both. If you want it to sound very full, you can absolutely do that. Then we talked about how to use it in context using If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys as an example. And we noticed how when we play the regular minor 7 chords, it sounds cool, it gets the job done. But when we play the minor 11 chords, it's like you just hopped in a Tempur-Pedic with silk sheets and extra comforter. It just has something else to it. Last quick bonus tip for those who are a little bit more advanced, as we were talking about before, when you think about the A minor 11 as G major over A minor, you get something really special. So this is what's known as a polychord. Basically what a polychord is it's two chords that create one chord, but when you think about them as two different chords, the flexibility it gives you is really unmatched, and it's very much easier on your brain once you get used to the idea, once you're ready for it. So if you're a little bit of a beginner, definitely watch this part of the video, but if it's not making sense to you, don't worry about it. Stick with the things that we've already talked about. So let's use a different key to demonstrate this. So for example, if I'm doing this in the key of F sharp, I have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Okay? And my 7, 9, 11 gives me an E major triad. But instead of thinking 7, 9, and 11, I can just think 1, 3, 5. And now I can play with melodies on the top, and I can rearrange my voicings on the top just thinking E major. So I can just play these E major triads, but when I put it over F, I get this really, really beautiful sound. Now, here's a really, really cool next step. That voicing that we were talking about earlier, we can think of this as 1, 5, 4, and 3. So we have the E major triad, but we just stick a little 4 in there, right? And so that's very Disney-like. But when I put that same exact sound over F sharp minor, we get this really nice sound that we can now bring in through a bunch of different keys, or we can make some nice melodies over, and it doesn't wreck the brain overthinking, okay, 11, 9, 7, 11, 9, 3, 11, 9, no, just 1, 3, 4, 5. And that makes your job so much easier. So if we brought it to F, we have E flat over F, right? And then now we can take this E flat and we can voice it different ways. And we can have the 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1 of E flat major over F. Right? All I'm doing is thinking about E flat triads here. Now I know I'm speaking kind of fast, but if you're keeping up with this, then you should be able to keep up with the rate of speed that I'm speaking in. If you didn't and you would like me to go a little slower through that and maybe make a whole video dedicated to this, drop that in the comments below and I would be more than happy to. Hope you learned a ton with this minor chord voicing video. If you have any other things that you would love to learn, drop them down in the comments below. I would be happy to make a video of it. I read through all the comments. I reply to all the comments. I'm super happy to serve you through this YouTube channel. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I will see you on the next one. This is BruceBeats. Peace!